right, so this is my first couple hundred feet in the driver's seat. Well, one thing I'm really noticing is it's got a really, really long dash top because of the rake of the windshield. There's one thing I learned about steeply raked windshields like that, or shallow rakes on windshields. They're prone to a lot of glare, which I'm actually seeing right now. And we have a light colored dash top, so you really see the vents.
Yeah, you can see it reflecting in the bottom there.
Yeah, and the temperature sensors and all the I guess a frontal collision warning light. So that's all pretty prominent in my eyesight.
Yeah.
If we were driving into the sun, that might be less of a problem, but from certain angles it can be a little bit of an annoyance. But yeah, it feels really like it's got a long nose as a result of that long dash. Maybe not in a bad way, but almost like a minivan.
Yeah. It does look like, it's got these like quarter windows up here.
Yeah.
That are minivan-like.
Yeah, and that helps with, you know, opening up the visibility a little bit so you get a hint of a pedestrian or something. Not complaining, it's just very different. Not all what I would have expected from, you know, a hatchbacky type of thing, although Honda's kind of been doing that as well.
Yeah, the Fit has those, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Quarter windows. Yeah, so it's not a first. But yeah, minivan, it's a good call. This does seem like a futuristic family transporter.
Yeah.
Taking us backwards down the Snake here, Mark.
This is the Snake. This is one of my favorite roads. Now, admittedly, this isn't a car for the Snake, but it's midday. It just rained, so I'm not going to impede anyone's path here. But yeah, I mean, the car drives pretty much as you'd expect it to. Light steering, everything's kind of effortless. The brakes take a little getting used to. They're a little long in travel for the pedal, and
kind of mushy at the bottom too, right?
A little bit, yeah. I haven't really given it any hard braking yet, but it's behaving just fine. I'm not pushing the car at all because it's wet, and I've never driven this car really. But there's nothing I can really complain about. It's doing everything kind of all right, and this little paddle on the left side of the steering wheel gives you some brake regen. I'm just kind of using it to brake into these corners.
So you're braking with your fingertips?
Yeah, my foot's off the pedals.
You haven't used the pedal the whole way down?
Only to give it some gas, or electrons.
Got it.
So yeah, I mean, so far I don't really have much to say about the Bolt, except to say it's more than competent and kind of like the interior. Yeah,
I agree. I've had it for a couple nights and kind of ran out of things to say about it pretty quickly, which is a compliment to Chevrolet, really. There's nothing really jumps out as being egregiously bad.
Right.
And for the most part, it seems to be pretty smartly engineered.
Yeah, visibility-wise, I am kind of poking my head back and forth to see through the turns. But that's kind of standard for every car we've driven in the modern era because of rollover standards and cockpit strength stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm not, for a car in this class, it's kind of expected.
What do you think about, so imagine someone paying 35 grand for one of these. You think there would be any disappointments at that price?
I don't think so, because once you get to the heart of the matter of any EV, which is you're not putting gas in, you're just charging it, and it's a lot cheaper. That's the whole point of this car.
Yeah.
And your anecdotal evidence of its range and how it's estimating range, it's certainly fulfilling it so far. We'll see how it does at the end of this year, a long test, or maybe even longer than a year. But yeah, I mean, battery technology has come a long way since even just the Leaf.
Yeah, what I like too, though, is that it's not just that it's doing its job as an EV, but that it's a pleasant car all around too. Like I could imagine, Chevrolet investing most of the money in the EV development, and then skimping on the infotainment display, for example.
Right.
But this thing's beautiful. It's a big screen. It's sharp. It seems to respond well for the most part. So I don't think there's nothing sticks out as like a cutting of corners, say.
Right.
Seems like they covered all their bases, even outside the EV part.
Yeah. Well done, Chevy. All right, so we're in the Bolt, and I want to talk about the brake pedal. Initially, the bite is what you'd expect. It's not too grabby, it's not too mushy, but it's right when you crawl up to the end of a stop.
Yeah.
You have to actually give it more pressure to bring it to a stop. Otherwise, you're just going to keep coasting into the back of a car. My first full stop a little while back kind of got my eyes bulging a little, like, more brake.
Yep.
Obviously, that's just one more thing that you have to get used to if you drive this every day.
Yeah.
For us, where we're dropping into cars day after day, something different, it's certainly more of an adaptive problem. But
yeah,
I mean, if you're thinking of buying a Bolt, know that going in that it's going to have kind of a soft-ish brake finish.
Yeah, especially those first few stops, like you were saying. Like I remember my first stop when I took it home a couple nights ago. I actually ended up in the middle of a crosswalk over the white line.
Yeah, I can see
because there's this like mushy zone at the bottom where you're not really sure what it's doing, and you realize it's not doing anything, and you go through it, and
I mean, I pushed as hard as I think you would have if you were in a panic stop at the very end. There,
yeah,
that bumper's getting closer.
Yep.
So something to think about.
Yep.